My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E, From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your F.A.T.E. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of F.A.T.E. How's everybody doing today? On today's show, I have Suzanne Taylor, former Hollywood actress and host, filmmaker. We're going to be talking about her documentary called What on Earth? And truth seeker. Suzanne has been trying to raise the consciousness of this planet for decades. She is an activist. She is a light worker. I can't wait to hear her story. Suzanne Taylor, welcome to your F.A.T.E, my friend. How you doing today?
Well, how are y'all doing today? Considering I'm doing fine.
We are living in interesting times, and I'd love your perspective on it because, you've seen more than I have in this crazy world, and I'm sure you have a lot of wisdom to impart to me and my audience. I always like to start at the beginning. Suzanne, how did you become so inquisitive about who we are, what we're doing here, and what consciousness is? Where did this all begin for you?
Well, ironic question.
Yeah.
I got born to very supportive parents. I mean, it's such a key. As I've mentioned that over time, and people come back to me and say, "Boy, were you lucky." They believed in me. They thought I was great. They thought I was, best thing ever. So I just accepted that. Okay, I'm the best thing ever. And so it was really a wonderful start. But it just, my sense of myself was I was supposed to get 100 on them. Like I would come home from school with like a 98, and my father would say, "Where are the attitude points?" That it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. I thought I was supposed to get 100 on everything, and I just about did. When I graduated from college, I graduated summa cum laude, and Phi Beta Kappa. I got 100 on everything in college, just about.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah. So then I'm out in the world, and well, how am I going to get 100 out here? And it was the beginning of the human potential movement when I was very young. And I just plugged right into that because that was, who am I? You mentioned, Queen of Consciousness, whenever. Well, the first thing was I had to pay attention to my own consciousness. What is this world? You younger people, you have no idea. The world took such a change into, we're kind of all Father knows best and on the surface and whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like psychedelic and, all the therapies and, oh my goodness, who am I?
I mean, I would have loved to have grown up in those times when the psychedelic movement. I mean, I'm sure that was just so explored.
Well,
amazing.
also we had things like I don't know. Some of you young people don't even know what that was, but there was this mass trainings in. Well, nobody had knew this stuff. We did not know about the inner life. And then we had these massive trainings. Just had hundreds of people at a time going through the weirdo processes, but they were all about who am I in ways we'd never asked before. And I wonder even now, how are the young people getting us tuned in? Because you get born, you're F.A.T.E, they'll know, whatever. But even getting born into a world that had that experience, how do the new children, as they grow up, where do they go to discover these things? I don't know the answer to that. Certainly not the internet. Well, maybe the internet. I don't know. And I worried about that.
Yes, I have said this before on the show that it does feel like we're living in a time where nobody is asking any deeper questions to what we're doing here.
Right. Right.
Everybody has just become zombie-like in their day-to-day with the work, the Netflix and chill, social media, the distractions, and I think it's a myriad of things. Number 1, we don't have enough time. Like nobody's bored anymore. You can always pick up your phone and look at a video or, post something or doom scroll or something like that. We don't have these opportunities that we used to where you were left to your own devices and you had to entertain yourself. There was no phone to fill your downtime, and I think that's one of the big things that does prevent us from seeking deeper truths. And also, I feel like we are just living in such a fast-paced society. Our culture is completely changed in so many things, dramatically, even since the time I was young. I think the internet has made us not think anymore. We have no critical thinking skills. We get programmed what is going into our brains. We just regurgitate out whatever whatever we're listening to. We're not thinking beyond that.
Well, it's hard to make evaluations of the time you're in. You don't want
Yeah.
perspective on it. So all the things you're saying make sense. In fact, you're saying things that make me think, oh, uh, yeah, when I was young, we would just get sent outside,
Yes.
play, and we had our friends in the neighborhood and go, well, what will we play today? And you had to be creative all the time. And so I hadn't even thought about it that way. Uh, but
Yeah.
indeed, uh, but I have some thoughts now. You know, you you will discover I think things that nobody else thinks. And I say Etterman, I find myself in a position that I can't find other people. I write on Substack. It's the hot spot to write. And of all the, I don't know, millions of people who are writing on Substack, I seem to be the only one writing the way I'm writing, which is that everybody's very good at analyzing, you might say, how did we get here? We look at this terrible place we're in. Oh my God, look what happened today. What nobody is dealing with what to do about it. Nobody is saying, well, how can we, the people, take some power in a situation where governments are failing us? They're all bought by the oligarchs.
Yep.
So I'm writing about how we can organize ourselves and how I don't know, I can't find other people doing that. But here's my latest thought about all of that. It just was sort of striking me this week, thinking, of course, things are dangerous. You talk about all the ways in which that's. However, we also didn't know about the machinations of how corrupt the corruption going on and the way in which things can be undermined. We are getting worse one. Awareness kind of comes first. You can't fix something, don't know it's broken. Well, we are discovering, oh my God, look at all of this unbelievable destruction of the basis of our country. But we're learning the basis of our country. Now, that's where the power can come from. So I don't want to be Pollyanna, like, oh, well, now we can fix it all. No, listen, at least we are getting wised up, and it's step number one in the master giant fix we need if
I
we can
mean,
get fixed.
I have a different perspective on what's happening to the world globally right now. Where you're talking about governments, you're talking about society, you're talking about humanity. I think it has a lot more to do with we've moved into the age of Aquarius. Like our governments, they're not coming back, Suzanne. We are never going back to normal. Never.
No,
Never.
we
It's
mustn't.
not. happening.
Like,
The normal Republican or Democrat or our normal government institutions or this era United States was somehow a generous country that did good things in the world. That's gonna come back. That's done. The only thing that we can do now, start trying to touch individuals. You're not going to be able to touch a group. A group has their own group think, and you can't penetrate group think if you're not in that group. They don't listen to you. You can touch individuals. You can get them to start asking questions. You can get them to start maybe doing a little self analyzation. Are you going to get them to turn away from their tribe
I,
immediately? No, they're going to have to figure it out for themselves. And I don't think any beating of the drums of your perspective or hers perspective or his perspective changes minds. Change only comes in here. And if anybody in the planet knows that, I do. I was like an atheist my whole life until really traumatic health stuff happened to me. And I ended up like getting dragged through the darkest pit of despair you could ever imagine. And going through that and grasping on for anything to try and get myself out of the situation enabled me to open my mind and open myself to energy healing and open myself to spirituality. And now I'm like coming out of this like world
for,
of atheism and completely changed my entire belief system from head to toe. Completely.
I should
But
interview. I should
nobody could have
interview.
told me to do that.
I should
N-
interview you.
I mean, nobody,
No.
nobody could have changed my mind except me. And I think that is the biggest picture that everybody needs to kind of look at is that change is only going to come individually from here if it affects you. I don't know how to get people to stop hating each other, to stop being so programmed to whatever they're spoon fed that they can't seem to get out of their own way. There's no critical thinking. It's only black, white, up, down. There's no nuance in anything. There's no, if you have to be intellectually analyzing anything, forget about it. And they don't even formulate their own thoughts. They just regurgitate whatever has been told to them, and they're unaware how unaware they are, if that makes sense.
Well, there's different tracks here.
Yeah.
Like when you say we're never going back to the no, I'm going to disagree with you about the nature of the United States as master country. The best country in the world, the altruistic country. Oh no, we need to go back to that. I don't think we're you know go because the introspection for the individual is always there. Forever. That's going to be the basis of our individual lives. We all have to get wiser. But we do live in a country that's really deserting its principles right now. And I think the principles are definitely going to come back. As I say, we're getting wiser about how they can be taken away. And, we're not so innocent anymore. What I thought you were going to go to when you said we're never going to go back, and where I agree with you, we're never going to go back to the way the world was running before Trump, where we had got off the path of heading for a better and better, more enlightened, more cooperative world, utopian kind of world that human beings would be able to do if they cooperated. And so that needs adjusting for this oligarch situation where somehow or other capitalism was great. It built the industrial world, but then the most successful people became too successful. They
Yes.
became greedy. And so we have
Yes.
this small percentage of people with most of the money and everybody
Yes.
else suffering. That we can't go back to.
Well, I mean, that is a problem that we've allowed to accumulate over the last 40 or 50 years when Reagan came in and he
Yeah,
deregulated everything and he
exactly.
cut the tax rates on everybody and now I mean, and we let Wall Street just like do whatever and shell companies and corporations got ginormous and people putting their money overseas, and you could go on and on and on with the level of corruption that is out there. That there here's the problem. I think with trying to rein that in, they're not going to give it up. You're going to have to take it. So when I mean we're not going back, what I mean is, I think that there's beauty on the other side of where we're heading, but I think in order to get where we're going to be in a more enlightened society with a more higher vibrational, higher consciousness, more loving, more compassionate, you want to get there. I think all of our institutions are going to break. I think we're going to see massive unrest in the world. And it is only going to come after we see a lot of terrible, gnarly things happen in our world. People are led by their own selfish greed. They're incapable of critical thinking. They're living in survival mode. Most people are living hand to mouth. They can't worry about the climate. They can't worry about an immigrant that's come up here to try and make a better life for themselves. They need to take care of their own family. The rich have taken so much from the lower classes that they've turned us against one another, because we're all barely hanging on by a thread. And that is only going to get worse. And until that the masses understand that game, that it is a game of getting us to hate each other, they don't want to have another civil rights movement where you have half the country out in the streets marching. They don't want to have an intelligent citizenry that knows they're getting ripped off. We get charged more for pharmaceuticals. We get charged more for our goods. Everything is a racket, from rent to a mortgage. Everything's a racket. Everything. And I don't know how you enlighten the American people, or people even globally, to the short sightedness in which we have set up society, where it is short term gains, where it is taking from a planet that does not have infinite resources. Um, Quite frankly, I think there's too many humans on the planet. There's too many of us on the planet for the amount of resources we want to take up. And all of those things are coming to a head with the new administration that's coming in here. Alliances are falling apart, and we're going to see some terrible stuff. But I think there's bigger things at play. I really do. I don't think it's about our governments or the money. Yes, that's part of it. But I also think we are coming upon a new era for humanity. I think we're going to see aliens soon. I think we're going to see aliens in the next couple of years. They're not going to let us blow ourselves up again. They're not. They're going to come down here and say, yo, idiots, chill out. Be a part of the Galactic Federation. Be an evolved species. We don't do this shit. I think that is going to happen in the next few years. What do you think?
Well, now you ended up in one of my categories. There I am with my crop circles still on, because I
Yeah.
made movies about crop circles because I thought that they could actually wake us up to the fact that we're not alone. We're not the only intelligence. It could be a very good message for us arrogant people to get.
Yes.
However, I want to go back to that whole description you gave of the current situation, which I think that was a wonderful, I could say that was a wonderful lead in to me. Okay, Suzanne, now here we are. Now what? Guess what? Title of my Substack is Now What? Because I take off from there of what can we do. And it's not like, oh, let's play with what can we do. It's just for what can we do. Because we are headed for Armageddon. We're headed for apocalypse. We're headed for, we don't pay attention. I'm thinking all the other things, the nuclear bomb, something terrible things that happen to us. But if we don't pay attention to the situation that we know we're in, which is global warming, which is geared to overshoot, where we're using up our resources. If we don't have our resources, we can't run our world. And we're oblivious to the fact that that might happen, that we're on the road to that happening, and that's what we need to be feeling. In the meantime, we're not paying attention to that. There's so little attention being paid to actually, how can we get from this situation you were really good at describing of works and terrible path that we're on. We veered from the path of good and development and humanity getting better. Also, you also alluded to breakdowns, you see breakthroughs. That's what makes you change. You get on a better path when the one you're on is terrible. It's terrible enough. And then there's a uncertainty of, are you going to sink or swim? But you could say, if the universe is creating everything and there's a good way you can think of it that way, the universe is a creative place. It's evolving. We are so dangerous to ourselves that what could happen to wake us up? And the reason that I got it so involved in the crop circle may seem kind of weird. I mean, I'm very political now, but when the crop circles came along and got
So before
yeah,
you get into crop circles, let for those out there in that don't remember, um, there was a ginormous phenomenon that happened globally, late 80s, early 90s, where these crop circles would pop up all over in these fields, and they were beautiful, they were
it,
intricate, they were a marvel to look at, and it swept the media, and
and
everybody was talking about aliens and what they were trying to say. And Suzanne ended up doing it. Your documentary was what, like 2006 or something?
I don't know,
When
2009.
2009.
I actually did two of them. The first one I was just the producer of, I supervised. The second one, I was the
Yeah.
filmmaker of the second film, which is called
Yeah.
What on Earth, and the subtitle that's Inside Proximal Mystery.
It,
Uh,
it's very well done. I watched it prior to having our conversation. The weirdest thing about, I think, the crop circle phenomenon is how fervent it came on like a fire. It lit us all up, and then it went out like a puff of smoke so fast, and it just died. Let's talk a little bit about crop circles, your movie, why you got interested in it, and where are the crop circles today?
Good question. Good question. Well, they seem to not be happening
Nope.
in the way they were happening, where we could not explain many of the aspects of what we would discover when we would wake up in the morning. Like, for instance, I sit up for my shirt. This is
Yes, exactly.
That crop circle is the size of two football fields. Just think about that. Only the pews. You wake up in the morning. There's only about 4 hours of darkness in England and closer to the whatever. And there it appears. It's just not possible that people made these, even though many of the circles were made by people. So we had a real mystery going on. And the bottom line of it, there must be some other intelligence that's smarter than we are because they're delivering to us. We're not delivering to them. It's not possible. The size of the universe. It takes months to get to the nearest planet. There are 2 trillion galaxies. You can't. Well, it's a mysterious universe where we have no idea how it works or how it could work.
I mean, there's no doubt in my eyes that there were other entities coming down here and making these crop circles. It's kind of undeniable. And I know that a lot of the reason why the phenomenon went out of the mainstream media blitz was because in your film, you talk about a couple of gentlemen come out and take ownership, and they debunk it by showing the cameras how they did it, but it never really rang true. It never really made sense, and it seemed very much to be a front to me that I can't prove it. I can't prove it, but it seemed like a cover up, or at least the government did not want the human consciousness to start talking about the fact that we weren't alone, that there were other things out there. And quite frankly, once they even gave the hint that it was um, two dudes, it fizzled out, which is a shame. And I feel like that was such a missed opportunity for the global consciousness to start understanding we're a part of something much bigger in the universe, that there's a lot more going on.
Well, that was a great hope for the world. It actually had a long road.
Yeah.
Almost 10 good years of being scratching our head, examining and doing conferences and having uh, symposium, you know, just trying to figure out, first of all, proving, giving many different aspects of we can't do that what they do, we can't do this that they do. Okay, something else is doing it, and then let that be 10 years of that inquiry. At first, it was very, oh, look at that, isn't that fascinating? And then these hoaxers came along to kind of throw a bomb into our kind of native enthusiasm for something fascinating. Well, no, it's fake. And the government, there was evidence of the English government, because we kind of protested in England. There were in every 40 some odd countries in Europe, not every 40 some odd countries have had crop circles, but the real phenomenon that we track every summer would be concentrated in England. You knew it was going to happen there. And all people from all over the world came to be the researchers and the investigators and the photographers and whatnot. So we had a real juicy phenomenon. Then what happened? We had these hoaxers. Started out with two guys. They were easily proved to be uh, guys who didn't know what they were doing. But then the whole human aspect of it, they learned how to make them better. It started out to be its own phenomenon, the human-made ones and the real ones. The real ones that are not human-made, that come from elsewhere. You know, and but then gradually, just the same way the oligarchs took over, the hoaxes took over, and they became so convincing and just ugly people doing ugly things. And finally, I think the whole phenomenon, the real, whatever delivered this in 4 hours inside the 2 foot roll field, I think it said, you know what, this is we're not getting no attention. We're out of here. We found out that the hoaxers had infiltrated even the sacred territory, the best website that was our website that showed everything that ever came in. And it was our, Bible of props. So we discovered they were in cahoots with the hoaxers. And when that happened, all the credibility went out of it. All the interest went out of it. The gatherings every summer where people, researchers like me, came from all over the world. They stopped funding, and there, it's gone. And now it's funny because it comes up. Oh yeah, that crop something. They proved that was all
Yeah.
fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's the world's opinion now.
Yep.
Wrong,
Yep.
wrong. We just got off it. We just gave up,
Yeah.
and there
And
could be
and
another movie. I'm getting too old to make another movie. I got to spend my time trying to make this world sizzle.
I have
My
no.
movie is called One on Earth. I get it on Amazon Prime. And it got a good review in the New York Times. I just want to give it a little plug. It wasn't
Yeah.
because there's a lot of fly-by-night crop circle movies that kind of shot.
There,
But
there's
I
a
made a
there's a
real
few of them.
movie.
Yeah.
So,
No, there's a few Crop Circle movies out there. I watched
I'm
yours
the
though,
best.
and it's
I'm the
it's
best.
very, very well done. It's very well done. It's called One on Earth. I watched it. It's very good. And for the younger generation, this they may not have been around for when this was like a phenomenon in our country. I mean, it was a long time ago now, but like these crop circles, you talk about it in your movie how you would be able to go into these crop circles and your electrical equipment wouldn't work. And people were doing meditations in these circles and feeling and healing themselves, and there was an energy to these circles that was undeniable, that people were coming from all over the world to be a part of. It was an exciting time.
Very
you know
excited.
It was,
Mhm.
let me ask you this. Where are you at in your own spiritual enlightenment? What has been your own spiritual journey?
So at first, I just was curious. There was so much that was all of a sudden bursting on the scene of all kinds of self-help and self-awareness and consciousness. And for me, I would say probably the most important pathway for me was psychedelic. You take psychedelics and you go, oh my gosh, it's what the world I thought it was. There's another world. And, that just riveted me into curiosity. But I'm not a meditator. God knows I've done a lot of it. I've done, all the workshops, all the techniques. I'll tell you what got my attention. Uh, Way back when I was still reading my first life, which didn't know anything about consciousness. I was in the movie business. I was an actress. My husband was a YouTube director. He's pretty well known. And somebody who was the head of the studio with three friends were over called me. So Suzanne, I want you to do something. Don't take your husband. He won't like it. You'll like it. You go. So I spent a weekend. It was actually an encounter group. Do you know about encounter groups? Let's see.
Mm-mm.
Well, that was a popular modality way back when. And it was a small group of people in a circle who were attacking each other. And the point was, how do you deal with it when you're the cave or the it's stronger, And so here I was in this circle. I was very much a suburban. I was always not exactly just a suburban, right? I have acting career, but mostly I was a wife and a mother, and I was not like me now. So I met this thing, and all of a sudden I realized the fact that I don't live up their team, and I trust my food, and whatever. Oh, these are hippies, and they were very good at touring me down. And it was so upsetting to me that I was torn down that I got curious. How are they seeing that I don't see? And that really kind of led me into uh I was not taking psychedelics. And by that time I was still married. So I've had two lives.
Yeah.
And so that kind of started me asking questions. That was very significant development. But at first it was a question to that, who am I? But then I got pretty smart, wised up. And then it was, what's going on in the world? Who are we? Why are we not connecting? Why are we not creating utopia? Why are we killing each other? Why do we have war? War? War for people who have the capacity to destroy each other? We got so much better at our capacity to kill each other than our capacity to live a good life. Whoa, whoa.
Uh,
So,
yeah,
that
I mean, there's so many I don't know how far down deep the well you go with conspiracy and the powers that be out there, but
so
because you come down here, you're you go through your schooling. We are not taught to be great thinkers in school. We're really not taught anything in school. We're programmed to fit into a cog in a wheel. So when we get out of whatever programming through schooling, we go and we do a job for whatever. So we basically support the ultra rich of this world. Like there's even what they're trying to do in the country now, like let's bring manufacturing back. And I'm like, what are you talking about? If manufacturing
it's
comes back at all, it's going to be driven by AI. Human beings are not going to be in the warehouses, folks. It's going to be AI bots in every single warehouse across this country, and you're going to be panhandling on the streets. So there's just so many things. It's sort of bizarre out there now.
well, absolutely. But it's not like some little back room like society to crash the world the way it is. it is part of the evolutionary process. It was kind of as I said before, a natural development of capitalism that built the world, but then too few people got too much, and it uh, no longer served the thought of people trying to get ahead of each other. Now we have to come back and be cooperative with each other. The only problem is that in between, we're in danger. And
Yeah.
because we're not cooperative, because we're running in a world, we're in danger from causes that we should be working on, but we're not because we're still trying to feather our own nests instead of feathering the world's nest. It's just time to switch over to that, which is just all that I'm devoted to, and it's not hopeless. We just aren't even thinking that way. Um, we're just, I think we're just starting to come out of being so shocked. But just picture a massive coalition, bigger than the Democrats and Republicans combined. We'll line up for it. Just call it a coalition for the good. Because right now there's more of us for the good than not. But we're not organized. We have to join together to do that. We figure out how to rally, create enough power by force of numbers that we can actually change things, transcend the government. So popular among ourselves that the government can't do the things that they're doing. So,
I think part of the problem is going to be this. We're censored. Um I don't see how a grand movement happens in this country because it will be disrupted by people that don't want us to come together. I already think there's masses globally that are against what's happening in the world. It's not just happening in the United States, it's happening all over the world. This rise of authoritarianism, dictatorships, um, more wars, There's many people out there that are protesting. You're not going to see the protests on mainstream media. Like after like Sandy Hook and George Floyd and there was these huge things that shook our culture to the floor and people marched and outraged. Still, you still couldn't get people to align on something that seems such a knock it out of the park, no brainer thing to get upset about. There's still the bad actors out there that are interjecting the discourse. Unless people wake up and start taking their own power back, their own thoughts, their own self um, inquiry about who they are and what they stand for in this world instead of just living in survival mode and not thinking much past what they're going to watch on TV that night. I don't think we're going to go towards anything but not great times.
well,
I don't know.
you could take that position, but I don't take that position. I take the position of, in a way, the worse it gets, the wiser we get, or the more agitated we get. And could it be anything worse? Okay, that's going to be the thing that's going to wake us all up. And wait, no, don't check your vote. Because look, the Berlin Wall fell all of a sudden. No,
Different time.
wasn't all of a sudden. There was a huge buildup, and then it fell. Same thing here. Huge buildup. Let's go for it falling. There's something else that I wanted to
I,
say.
I, I got to tell you, the Berlin Wall was a different time. That was when we as humans felt like we were all in this together. It was we didn't hate each other then. It was much easier for two countries to come together. It was much easier for people to break down their own barriers. We don't live in that world anymore. Social media has ruined our ability to connect. It's ruined our ability to think past our own belief systems and be able to see things from a different perspective. Like, I I don't think there's another Berlin Wall in us. There's no alignment on anything when it comes to Republican and Democrat. Like, you could just go around and round and round in this circle of why we are where we are. And I don't think unless something really tragic happens, are we going to get snapped out of it.
Well, typically we make massive changes after massive disasters, as you
That's
was
exactly right.
typically. And now the point is, because we are so capable of being a massive disaster of destroying all of humanity, we better not do that. We better be wiser before that happens. You know, there you have to stay open to what possibly can happen. But I want to introduce another idea uh, that I think is quite valuable to understand. Humanity get born fully aware. You know, this is a process of discovering ourselves. And there we have always had an evil aspect. And in a way, the evil drives the good, you know, it grows overcoming the evil. But evil has always been, you know, part of our makeup in this developmental process over the decades, centuries that humanity has been in. How do you deal with evil? Oh, it's evil. Now what should I do? How do you deal with it? Well, you know, I've learned this from the wisdom teaching, that one of the schools of awareness that promotes this idea, which I think is very, very sensible. When Hitler came along, he concretized evil. It was in a thing that we could talk about, that we could look at, and that we could deal with to overcome evil, overcome. We thought we overcame a world where we never have another Holocaust. We would never be so stupid again. But evil wasn't totally eradicated. It just had a phase of being advanced so that we were advanced over a certain aspect of evil. But evil was still with us. It probably will always be at some level. It's evil that we have to overcome because evil will destroy them.
I
Yeah. If we don't get destroyed enough so that we can't regenerate ourselves, we will have once again come back into more light, into understanding. And that's what I'm seeing. We are understanding evil now. We are seeing how corrupt things are, how we can be undermined, and how valuable the principles that we used to operate on, how valuable they were. That was, that was helping us for a cooperative world where if we were all making it wonderful instead of making war, planet would be flourishing. In danger, though, from the natural process of global warming that came along because of natural
That's
things that we did.
well,
Uh,
I mean, we are polluting our planet.
for
People
sure,
want to call it global warming, call it climate change, call it whatever you want, but
overshoot,
we're in the
overshoot the big
middle.
one. Yeah,
We're
overheat.
in the middle of a mass extinction. Species on this planet are dying off left and right. No one talks about it. Our waters are polluted. Our oceans are dying. We are filled with plastics. Our food is poison. Like you could go on and on and on. Like as far as like the really big shit that's going on in the world that no one talks about. Mainstream media doesn't talk about it. Nothing. If you say global warming, then you're a liberal idiot. I don't understand. I think Trump is the manifestation of the stupidity that has arose within this country over the last 50 years, and
Yeah,
sometimes you get what you deserve. And quite frankly, we have become
yeah.
so indulgent. We are obsessed with things. We live in a status-driven society. Both of us live in LA. I mean, the first thing people ask you is like, what do you do? Where do you live? If you're not doing something cool enough or living in the right neighborhood or driving the right car, you are looked down upon in this area and other areas of the world. It's just the status of who we are. I mean, let's face it, oligarchs don't even see their fellow human beings as humans. They see us as something they need to deal with, something they have to control, something that they can extract our data. We are programmed. People don't understand that our levers are so easily pulled by what we hear and how we feel, and they can get the human species to just do about anything based on what kind of fear they want to turn up in us by whatever they're feeding us on the news or not or 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 turn something else on. They live among us like gods. And I don't know how we're going to unwind what we allowed to have happen since we, changed the tax rate back when Reagan was in the world. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what
Well,
happens.
let's see. Quite obviously, you have to really delve into my website, not my website. Sorry, my Substack.
I'm glad you're out there. I'm glad you're asking the questions. I don't mean to be a naysayer. I just feel like our number one, I don't really pay that much attention to politics anymore. I find it to be a barrier, and I find both of them, right and left, to be two wings of the same bird. It is just true. The right appeals to a certain archetype of person, and the left appeals to a certain archetype of person. It's just two archetypes that exist within the human creation that they appeal to. But they're both in the same game of extracting as much wealth out of us as they possibly can, destroying our planet, and not doing anything really about it. Like I just don't care about politics anymore. I do care about awakening individuals because that I feel is the only key to our success is to have people start breaking away from their day-to-day whatever they're ingesting and take time out to reflect on who they are, where they want to be, how they're vibrating, how they're feeling. We're co-creators of our reality is what I'm trying to wake people up to. You have so much more power over your reality than you think you do by what you speak, your spelling, what you allow yourself to penetrate this brain, and how you're vibrating. Like attracts like. If you want good things to come into this world, the best thing you can do for humanity is vibrate with love, joy, compassion, creativity. That's the way you change, in my opinion, the world rather than having this duality, I'm on this side, you're on that side, we're fighting each other. It needs to be from a perspective of I'm different than you, you're different than me. You're on your journey though. That's your journey. I'm on my journey. And there needs to be a mutual love and respect that we're not going to agree on anything, but we can get to a common place. And I don't think you do that with people that are not thinking individuals. That is the problem. No one's actually critically thinking using their brain power anymore.
Well, I would say we're not organized. You're talking about the right and the left, and what you're really talking about are the politicians. And that is a corrupt game because they're all being bought. They're all
Yeah.
answering to their pundits rather than to their constituents.
Yeah.
So I don't play in that arena. I'm talking about changing humanity. Definitely what you're talking about, waking up individually, but then organize. We have to create some power for ourselves. And those really playing attention to that. And we hog the internet. We did not hog the internet in years ago. We have a way to get ourselves organized on,
It
we
it's
just haven't done it.
it's censored though, and that is probably going to be the hardest thing to overcome is finding ways to authentically not get censored out on the internet because they don't want us to unite. They want us to be separated. I think is what scares them the most is having humanity actually see the humanity in each other. I see it all the time that they're constantly dragging the humanity out of each other, calling immigrants aliens, calling people who don't agree with you radical. They're dangerous. They're this. They're the enemy. Both sides are doing it.
You're pointing at all the things that I'm dealing with to deal with, to counter it, to transcend, to do
Yeah.
better though. And that's not really the popular perspective on, we each get our thing to do, and this is my thing to do, to make this a popular perspective that we people can exercise control, that we can organize ourselves, that we can unite, but we just aren't really using our capacity style. And you're talking to the person who's trying to get that to happen. Um, Now what? Well, now what is let's use the internet to organize ourselves with the group.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it, and I am pulling for humanity. I am. I feel like I have been like a bit of a naysayer on this podcast, but I think that I just see, like I've said to you before, I am all over this country. I've lived all over this country. I've worked all over this country. And I see very clearly what's going on in rural America, in the suburbs of the big cities. I live in a big city, and I have a pretty good idea of what's going on in the heads of many of the people that live in those areas. I grew up in a small town. My mom lives in a very small town in Tennessee in rural America. I visit these places. I know what the people are like there, and I know the vibe. And I don't I don't know if we are going to rise to the occasion to the depths that we would need to do to to get a fair, intelligent, critical thinking society back that has a level of consciousness that would allow us to have a utopia society at all. You know,
It's a challenge.
it's a
It's a
dream.
challenge.
It's
Here
a
we are
dream.
on the bus. Are we going to
You know,
sink or swim?
I think we are going to swim, but I think we're going to swim through a lake of shit, and then it'll have to come. It'll only come after we lose our institutions, and I
Right.
think we're seeing the loss of our institutions now. We're seeing the loss of Department of Education. We're going to see the transition of our healthcare system. We're going to see the transition of our overall democracy. All of those things are going to the way of the, you know,
Big change time for sure. Hopefully, big change time. It's time for an awakening, mass
we
awakening. We
it's
have our individual awakenings. It's time for a mass awakening. We're
it's
at the brink
happening.
now. We're at the brink. Either we're going to come together and be a humanity for the good, or we'll
Yeah.
keep Stone Age. So
It
that's really serious. Some of the people who are really smart about the level of uh, develop decay that we're in. Some of those people are predicting that in as short a time as 5 years, the breakdown will be so serious that all of our lives will be chaos. As soon as 5 years.
the only thing that you're going to be able to do, well, the one thing I am going to do is I am not going to be panicking. I am going to stay calm. I know the storm is going to be a brewing, and the best thing that anybody can do is to remain calm in the midst of chaos. And that's all you can do, is be the calming force when it starts.
Well, I want to
And
be the creative force to turn the light on. I want to do more than just survive.
I mean, so don't we all?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to say this, but I feel like this impending chaos is something that humanity is going to have to go through in order to fix itself. I don't see how we,
Definitely. That's what's giving us the
yeah,
incentive, to right the ship.
yeah, yeah. I
Right.
mean, yeah, I think that it absolutely is going to happen. And there is a great awakening happening. It's going to happen no matter how hard they try to get it not to happen. It's happening anyways. It's in the cards. So it's only
Then
a matter of time before so many people awaken that we tip the scale into a higher consciousness. And that is the goal.
yeah,
Higher
for sure.
consciousness. On that note though, Suzanne, I got to tell you, I mean, it's good to talk to somebody that has been in the game a lot longer than me, and as far as being a seeker, raising your consciousness, getting people to talk about things that are not mainstream Well, you don't live that far from me. We're gonna have to get together for lunch or something.
Camera pop on. Can
I will come and meet your kitty cats. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was an interesting discussion. We're going to let Suzanne go, and I'd love to have her back at any time. Go watch her movie, What on Earth. It's on Amazon Prime. It's about the crop circle phenomenon that occurred in the world, and it's a great little documentary, and it goes into a lot of big questions that you might have.
also sign up for my Substack. Just
Yes.
get on Substack. It's called Now What.
I will put the link to your Substack in the show notes. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week on Fate, from Atheism to Enlightenment. Thank you, Suzanne. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
And that is a wrap on this episode of Fate, from Atheism to Enlightenment. I want to thank Suzanne Taylor for coming on board and spending her time with me. We had an interesting discussion there. I struggle with having conversations about politics and consciousness and enlightenment because I don't feel like they are compatible. I just know that I used to be somebody that watched a lot of news, that followed every little political wave, that was informed on all the happenings of political theater that you can think of. And since I have been on my journey, I completely don't care about politics anymore for some reason. Even in the crazy political times that we are in today, I look at them with such a different lens. I just do. I see them as something bigger spiritually. I see politics is just a game. I mean, let's face it, politics don't affect rich people. They don't. It really doesn't matter. Right or left, dictator or democracy, doesn't matter to them. They can get on a plane and go anywhere in the world. They don't even need they need nothing from the government. And the deck is stacked for them, not against them, no matter who is in power. So for me, politics is something that poor people play. It is, because it only really affects us. It affects what the government can do for us, what kind of security that we have in the world when it comes to our jobs or where we live. All of those things, we rely way more heavily if you're a poor person than if you're rich. Rich people, they just want even more money and even less taxes. Beyond that, the government doesn't hold them accountable, and they are carte blanche to pretty much do whatever they want. So it's hard for me to talk about politics anymore because I find it to be such a distraction, a waste of your time. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I feel like everything is gone to a place where it is corrupt. People are bought. People are paid to say things that they probably don't even feel in reality because it gives them a paycheck. So they're doing it for their own financial well-being. And I just don't align with it anymore. And I hate to see the division. And I hate to see the fact that I can't reach anybody that is so into their political belief system that they're incapable of seeing anything outside of the talking points that they are fed on a daily basis. And I just think it's dumb. I think you say the same thing to each other. No one's going to capture anybody else's opinion or change it at all. And it is so divided out there. We don't listen to the same set of facts. We don't hear each other, and we don't do anything except label and disregard. As soon as we know what your core belief system is, we label you and we disregard you, or we say, "Oh, You come with me, you're on my team. That's it. There's nothing else beyond that. And I'll say it again, politics is for poor people that actually need the government to do things for them. So until the poor people of America can understand the game, that it is rich versus poor, it is the elite versus everybody else. And then you have like the class that's just below the elite that do whatever they can to try and get to the elite class, which is like, the status steppers, the sycophants, the ones that want to hang out around power just to get something from it. I see this a lot in the movie industry. Same sort of dynamics. Then whenever you have powerful people in the arena, it's something about it's something within us. It's something I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I enjoyed Suzanne's perspective. I'm glad she's out there and she's got her Substack going. She wants to bring people together. She wants to raise the consciousness of this planet, and I am all for it. But unless you change individuals' ability to think for themselves and get out of the 3D matrix of the spoon-fed talking points that they're given on such a daily basis that they can't even it doesn't even occur to them to have another thought. Until you solve that problem, I don't know how we bring everybody together. I don't know. I think personally, it's in the cards. We are meant to go through this awakening, and nothing happens without growing pains. And we're going to have to break our old systems before we can rebirth into a new society. And I think only they say the great awakening is going to be happen like this. Either you're going to be in the 3D plane and you're not going to be able to evolve past your lower vibrational mentality of greed, power, selfishness, self serving, violence, jealousy, all of those lower vibrational experiences that are in the human makeup. And then you're going to have this rise of people that understand that we are higher beings, that we should be more evolved, that we should be coming from a place of um, I am you and you are me. We are all connected. There is a law of karma. There is a law of attraction. And we come down here to learn and grow and expand. And until you can start getting people to understand that's the real game of life and all this other stuff that they distract us with to keep us back from understanding who we are is literally just to keep us locked into a belief system that is never going to bring us true enlightenment or true understanding of what we're here doing. So I don't know. I don't love to talk about politics anymore. It just doesn't excite me like it used to. I used to get all revved up about it and feeling like I was on the right side of things, and trust me, everybody feels like they're on the right side. Everybody feels like they're the good guys. Everybody feels like, you know, it would be absolutely disastrous for the other side to win. It's just perspective. It's just different. It's propaganda. It's all of it. And I want people to wake up and start understanding the game. And the game is rich versus poor, power versus unpowerful, and who is going to remain in control of it. And if we really want to take our own power back, some of that is going to have to come in understanding that you are not your job, you are not your identity. You are more than that. You are an eternal being of light. You're coming down here, you are having experiences, and you're going back and you're learning and growing as you expand and live these lives. Our universe is complicated, layered, and I'm still unraveling the many layers of existence, and I'm still very interested. But when it comes to something like war, it takes two people to fight and then somebody wins. But I don't think you change minds. I think you just win. I think until you do love and then war and love overcomes war in that scenario, you might be able to change hearts and minds. But that's like Gandhi shit. That's like MLK shit. That's like John Lennon shit, you know? That's really bringing people together with a sense of love and purpose. And I think we've lost that ability to bring people together with that sort of really base level human existence. And we're all here living human lives as spiritual beings. And we should just let people discover their own journeys. And whether you're a transgender person or you're a middle of the nowhere America person who has never done anything, been anywhere, don't know anything about anything, you have a journey too. Everybody has their own journey, man. You're going to come back and live many lives until you ascend. So that's my perspective. Lots of people don't have that perspective. I get that. But that's why I'm on this show. It's why I'm doing the podcast, to just have these conversations and speak intellectually about things that are happening within our society today, instead of staying in your camp and just regurgitating shit that you've already heard 20 million times. All right, well, that was an interesting discussion. I hope you liked that episode. Anyways, we'll see you next week on Fate, from atheism to enlightenment. I'm on Instagram at F.A.T.E. podcast. Follow the show. I do little clips and whatnot and so on. I'm hoping to expand my social media presence. And I know I just say that on every single show, but part of me is kind of happy that I'm not addicted to social media and I'm not on it very much. Like, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. For any of you that are new out there, welcome to the Fate podcast. I hope you keep journeying with me and expanding your consciousness. That is the train that we are on. And I will see you next week on Fate, from atheism to enlightenment. And welcome to your fate, everyone. I'll see you next week. Bye.